Hello from the land of the leaf blowers. I hope they don't blow too much today on the video, but you can hear them in the background, and I'm sorry. The thing I wanted to mainly say on today's video is that I have totally neglected to promote something that I ought to have been promoting all week and all last week, and now it's too late. Well, it's not too late, but anyway, Saturday, February 6th, 2021, at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which I believe is 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time in the UK. I am going to be doing a talk together with Stephen Batchelor, the famous Stephen Batchelor who wrote Confessions of a Buddhist Atheist, After Buddhism, Buddhism Without Beliefs, and several other popular Buddhist books. We're going to be talking about God and the universe and all kinds of stuff. And if you want to find out how to join that, go to aczc.org and click on the schedule tab there. There's something about schedules, and that will take you to a place where you can sign up for the talk, which should be interesting. I haven't spoken to Stephen Batchelor in a long time. In fact, I found out that it must have been 2015 when I last spoke to him, because he signed my book in 2015 in March. So I haven't talked to him since then, and even then when I talked to him, I just kind of chatted to him after a talk that he gave at the Dharma Punk's place, or whatever it's called, Against the Stream. So that wasn't very much, and we had a couple of email exchanges a few years ago. He was one of the early sort of famous supporters of my work. He gave a blurb to Sit Down and Shut Up. I'd heard from a friend of a friend or something like that, somebody who'd attended some of his events in Europe, that he liked my book Hardcore Zen, and that's how we ended up getting him a copy of Sit Down and Shut Up before it was actually printed. And then he gave a blurb to it, which was really nice of him, because it's nice to get these famous people endorsing your book, and then your book might sell a few more copies. So that was really nice of him. I did a video a little while back saying how disappointed I was to hear that his new book talks about psychedelic drugs, but we promised each other that we're not going to go into that topic. I don't know, maybe we will, we'll see, but it's one of those things I don't think it's absolutely necessary to talk about, in this sort of situation. What we are more likely to talk about is God. That's what I'm kind of more interested to talk to Stephen Batchelor about, because it's a kind of a funny thing, God in Buddhism. Like, I held up his famous book is Confessions of a Buddhist Atheist, which I read this when it first came out, but it was a long time ago, 2010, so it's 10 years ago. It's been 10 years since I read this book, but my feelings about God were about the same then as they are now, and I remember liking this book. So it's one of those things. I wrote a book called There Is No God and He Is Always With You, which I put forth the thesis that maybe God is not such a bad word to use in the context of Buddhism. And maybe calling Buddhism atheistic isn't quite right. I don't think Stephen Batchelor is claiming that Buddhism is atheistic, only that he is an atheist and a Buddhist. Atheism and God, belief in God, sort of share a similar problem as far as I'm concerned. If I say that I believe in God, which I sometimes do, I have to qualify that, and it seems like I'm just endlessly qualifying it, because as you guys have probably heard me say before, when I say believe in God, I don't believe in a guy on a throne in the sky who smites the Peloponnesians or whatever the hell he does in the Old Testament and throws lightning bolts at people and stuff like that. I don't believe in that sort of God. I don't even really believe in a God who created the universe. When I say I believe in God, I mean I believe that this universe is not simply matter in the way the sort of materialistic philosophers tend to express it, and that there is something alive about the universe, that the universe can be said to be alive and to be a living thing, a huge living thing that has a mind. See, this is all crazy, because if I say the universe has a mind, that puts an idea in your head that might be completely different from the idea I mean when I say it. So basically, the problem is, if I say I believe in God, then I don't know what I'm saying to you. I don't know what you're hearing when I say I believe in God. The same problem is I have when people say they're atheists. I don't know what you mean when you say you're an atheist. In my book, There Is No God and He Is Always With You, I remember putting a whole dealio in there a bit about, what's that guy's name? Sam Harris. Sam Harris, another famous atheist who had, at the time I wrote the book, I'd come across something on the internet, I think, in which he talked about how he believed in God even though he was an atheist. So it gets really complicated, because he was basically saying kind of what I'm saying is, if what you mean by God is this, this, and this, then I would say, yes, I believe in God. But if what you say is God is that, that, and that, I'd have to say I don't believe in God. The one thing I think is really nice about Buddhism is that you can be a Buddhist atheist. And part of Stephen Batchelor's story, and I'm probably relating this slightly wrong, and maybe he'll talk about it on Saturday, we'll see, is that he was involved in certain forms of Buddhism, I think Tibetan Buddhism, in which his teachers were insisting that he must believe in certain things. And I think in his case it was karma and reincarnation. He had to believe in karma and reincarnation, and if I'm not mistaken, there was some sort of a deity that they insisted he had to believe in. And he was like, yeah, I can't believe in that, but I still find Buddhism to be a very useful thing. So can I have Buddhism without beliefs? I think that's where the whole idea of the book, Buddhism Without Beliefs, comes from. I didn't come up like that. I came from two teachers who were very open about the idea that it didn't matter what you believed in. You don't have to believe in karma and reincarnation. You can believe in God if you want. You can not believe in God if you want. It doesn't really matter at all what you believe. This is a practice of action in the present moment, and it doesn't. What you believe is kind of irrelevant, except that in the way it might impact your action, I suppose. Nishijima Roshi liked to say, I believe in God, the universe is God, and God is the universe. God is the universe, and the universe is God. I can't quite do his accent. But you think I'd be able to do a Japanese accent after living there for 11 years, but I never could quite get it. Anyway, he would say God is the universe, and the universe is God. And that's a good way of looking at it. Kobunchino Otogawa Roshi, who was Tim's teacher, often phrased things in terms of God. If you go through some of his writings, they're in his book. What the hell's the name of the book? Buddhist. Anyway, his book talks about that, how he uses the word God a lot, and then Tim, kind of probably riffing off him, used the word God a lot in the context of Buddhism. So I got used to hearing it that way, and hearing it explained that way. And so when I started coming across the sort of Buddhist atheist movement, I'd be like, well, I don't know if it's so bad to say God. Of course, as I said before, the God in the sky who created the universe and everything is not what I believe in, but to say there is no God also seems like a problem too. It's you're putting another sort of set of ideas, and yet I wouldn't say I'm agnostic, because I feel very strongly that there is something here that transcends what we normally think of as physical reality, and might even transcend what we normally think of as spiritual reality. So, I don't know what Stephen Batchelor and I are going to talk about on Saturday, but it might be something along those lines. It might be something interesting, and I hope you'll all join. It should be an interesting time. A good time will be had by all. We're supposed to be talking for an hour, maybe 2 hours. I'm not sure what the time allotted for it is. I guess it's 2 hours, right? The schedule, anyway. But and with plenty of time for Q&A from the audience. It's sponsored by a place called Gaia House in England. They're putting it together, and we at Angel City Zen Center are sort of tagging along. It's by donation, but it's free if you want it to be free. If you don't want to donate, you don't have to. You can still come on, and there's no like paywall or anything, so that's good. Anyway, speaking of paywalls, if you want to send me some pay, because I'm not getting paid for this thing this weekend, but it'll be fun anyway. You can send your donation using the URL that you're seeing here. That'll take you to my Patreon and PayPal accounts. That is my only way of making a living these days, so I really, really appreciate your support. And as always, if you are having financial trouble, this is the Japanese gesture for don't send me money. But those of you who are not having financial trouble and are sending me money are keeping Ziggy full of dog treats and keeping me full of bananas. I usually have a banana smoothie every morning, so that's you're helping me buy bananas. So thank you very much. See you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye.